Chucky, Goosebumps, A Muppet Family Christmas. What do these three movies have in common? Well, if you said involvement from Fred Stinson, you would be right. But if you said creepy as hell puppets, you would also be right. I don't know what I was going for with this one. The Uncanny Valley is a phenomenon defined by an overwhelming sense of unease around things that are vaguely human, but not exactly. Clowns, old-fashioned paintings of humans, dolls, masks, and, yes, puppets. This has become something of a jackpot for horror writers, literally using hardwired defense mechanisms against us to scare the ever-loving shit out of us. Uncanny puppets from around the world are the subject of today's video, but not ones designed to be uncanny. No, because today we're exploring the world of unintentionally uncanny characters. You know, from the world where characters are intentionally canny. Let's take a deep dive into some of those puppets from around the world, and maybe I'll come to appreciate the art of puppetry in the process. That or I'll piss myself. Stay tuned to find out which. In 1878, a bet was made between Leland Stanford and some unnamed horse bettor that a horse's feet were all off the ground at some point in mid-gallop. Leland would then commission Edward Muybridge to prove this with the power of the camera. By using 12 cameras to take 12 photographs in rapid succession, Muybridge created an animated loop of a horse galloping, based on the optical illusion that would be used in devices like phenakistoscopes, something which Muybridge had a previous history in. And in that moment, Muybridge had just created the whole field of cinematography. 150 years later, and this would snowball into some jackass on YouTube complaining about Marvel movies. But before that happened, the world of cinema became a wild west of experimentation, innovation, and stunning new visual effects. Two men, J. Stuart Blackton and Albert E. Smith, had the unique idea to reverse engineer the basic principle of the camera. What if instead of taking a ton of photos in rapid succession, we took a ton of photos very slowly and carefully maneuvered puppets between each frame to create a carefully curated animation? Thus, the Humpty Dumpty circus was born and the world of stop motion created. And yes, stop motion technically counts as puppets. Creators began flexing all sorts of new uses out of this art form, from combining stop motion with human actors to create unique visuals to using literal dead bugs to tell the tale of a horny cockroach. Yes, that's a real video, yes, you can find it on YouTube. But in 1933, struggling filmographer Len Lee would develop a passive interest in puppets, specifically these stop motion puppets. And in his spare time between his film projects, he would create a unique experimental animation. The result of this project has since been dubbed the Peanut Vendor, after the song that was used in the video.
For peanuts you will long for later on, too late the peanut vendor will be gone, and then I am sure you will grieve so.
Okay. Let's start fair. For a shoestring budget and knowledge from almost 100 years ago, this is impressive. Did it save his company? No, not really. But it is still quite amazing to watch. Tons of quirky little moments in this animation just bleed passion and charm. Now let's stop being fair. They also bleed into my fucking nightmares. This monkey puppet's limbs stretch way too far for comfort, and come off more as a Dead Space necromorph than a monkey. And that stiff, slow animation in things that would otherwise be choppy and snappy in modern day animation, it's just wrong. And then there's a special place in hell for whatever the hell this corpse face is supposed to be. Why are the eyes like this? Why are the arms so stilted when he walks off screen? This monkey lures you in with the promise of peanuts and drags you off to the fucking shadow realm. And this tree is just straight up shaking that fat tree dumpy. Public access TV. Now that's a video I have to make somewhere down the line. I always love the weird, low-budget shit that gets put on this thing. Too bad that whenever I watch it, it's just yoga schools and church services in my area. There are lots of public access shows I can and probably should put here, but then I'd be wasting a perfectly good video idea on another video idea. So I'll save them for another day. Regardless, there is one puppet I want to talk about in this video because he has an interesting story and he's kind of creepy. No, this isn't a Steve Brule skit, this is a public access Christian puppet show, featuring two puppets, Dave the dog and, no, this is his actual name, Chip the Black Boy. Together, this duo of cosmic horrors sings about the Bible. Slowly. And boringly. God, imagine being a kid watching this. I feel sorry for you. But it would seem that the puppeteer and future comedian David Lieb Hart would agree, and he would later repurpose these characters of his for other projects. And thus, Chip found his new line of work. Psychedelic horror-themed rap.
Am I weird? Am I everything you fear? Am I the voice in the void in the space between your ears? Am I leading you to hell? While you're wishing well? Am I vaulting you to heaven with a hypnagogic spell?
Okay, I know I said I wouldn't include things that are actually trying to be scary here, but come on, I have to talk about this. Okay, so let me just say, I have never seen a video so perfectly tread the line between terrifying and absolute fire.
Death is only practice, resistance is madness. Every latter step is an exercise in sadness.
This is a gem of independently created rap music, nailing its desired aesthetic effect in both musical composition and masterful lyricism. Chip's high-pitched voice combined with that faux amateur garage band sounding backing track just creates this essence that you stumbled upon something you really weren't supposed to. And yes, this also aired on public access television. And wouldn't you fucking believe it, David Lieb Hart is openly not a fan of rap. No, he fucking hates it. And that Steve Brule mention? Well, I may have been lying because David Lieb Hart would go on to work closely with none other than Tim and Eric themselves. He would also make guest appearances on Jimmy Kimmel, The Daily Show, and even have a short comedy partnership with Robin Williams.
How did you end up being Robin Williams' roommate? Was it
Well, Robin Williams' mother was a devout Christian Science, and he was originally from Illinois, like me. And we did stand-up comedy at the Comedy Store. Him and I used to do gardening and yard work for a famous actress named Vivian Vance, who owned property. She owned a home up in the Hollywood Hills. She owned a home in Malibu.
This guy went from some shoddy production to a sneaky legend in the comedy industry. I love this man. I just love this man. He's a hero. In 2017, a WordPress blog named Internet Unknown popped up and created one article before disappearing into the void. This article discussed a Czechoslovakian children's show called Snackolotl. Yeah, it wouldn't be a Snackolotl Halloween video if I didn't transport you guys to the former Czechoslovakian Republic. Now, in the US, up to this point, Snacko was a little bit of a mystery. It had been mentioned and referenced in a few English videos, notably this one by Blame It on Jorge, who didn't have many details to share and just showed this creepy video of a puppet. He also misnamed this show as Ratafak Plachta. This article actually blew the cap off of this mystery on Snacko and uncovered a tragic story surrounding the obscure puppet. And you guys want to know something interesting about this internet unknown guy who just seemingly disappeared one day? Watch this. It was me. I wrote this article. I wrote this article in 2017 for a college thesis project. I had no clue the rabbit hole I was getting myself into. I inspired a bunch of people to research this subject more, and I have major credits in the world of creepy YouTube videos, and I just want to flex on something for once in my life. Okay, well, let's get to the bottom of things here. Ratafak Plachta is the name of this character, and it translates roughly to nosy blankets. And the Wikipedia article at the time was about 2 sentences, saying we basically didn't know anything about him. So Ratafak, the character, is actually a design that's historically endearing in Slovakia. In his show, Snacko, Ratafak would often be approached by various topics and blatantly state wrong information. Kids would laugh and correct him. And thus, a moral was set. Don't trust everything you see on television. But this is no house hippo situation, okay? This was more than a PSA or a simple little statement to get kids' minds going. Ratafak Plachta started a revolution, A real revolution, one which would ultimately dismantle the communist regime in Czechoslovakia from the inside. Because of its viewers growing up to become self-aware and paying attention to all the lies being fed to them. Remember that line from my last Halloween video? And in retrospect, many Czech news outlets even refer to it as the only time Czech news went uncensored. Yeah, Sonieko is why that censorship doesn't work anymore. Decades passed, empires fell, and the people of Slovakia now live a better life. All thanks to this god-ugly puppet. And in return for his role, Ratafak was found buried in a dumpster. Yeah, this video, the one that everybody remembers, is not actually from the show. This was the video created when some people found the puppet in a dumpster. I mean, you find Elmo in a dumpster, what are you gonna do? You're gonna create some weird videos and post them to YouTube. Also, this weird little video ends on this frame for like 10 seconds. I don't know why, but it terrifies the shit out of me. Ratafak was quickly rescued and placed in a museum. So for anybody wondering, he got the rightful ending he always deserved. Now, I've obviously just given you a story that I can't just gloss over like this, and I don't really have the time to explain the full details of it. Now, I'd like to toot my own horn and link back to my article and say that that's the ideal way to follow this story. But the truth of the matter is, Blame It On Jorge did a video on this subject that actually has more information than I initially uncovered. So I'm actually going to recommend his video on the subject. And, you know, I'm in the credits, so come on, guys, I'm awesome.
So, Paddington at the seesaw. George. This is your dad.
Okay, you're all yelling at me for one of two reasons. Yes, I know he's not a puppet, and yes, for all of my British viewers, I know this is the most obvious story in the world. But I'm not covering it. Look, this video would not be complete without the tale of Mr. Blobby. Blobby was originally a side character on a British late-night television show called Noel's House Party. His joke typically revolved around messing with celebrities and knocking things over and being a big blundering idiot. And the joke of him messing with celebrities actually bled into other shows, which is a running joke on the BBC that goes on to this very day. Mr. Blobby would appear in shows such as Top of the Pops, The Keith and Patty Picture Show, and more recently, Britain's Got Talent. Mr. Blobby's character would say one word only, Blobby, with some kind of weird distorted filter over it.
No, it's wall-to-wall. They won't understand you. You're just going to represent...
I can't find this Twitter post, but there was this one Twitter post that, like, rightfully compared him to the Japanese mascot Cheetan, who I love, by the way. Anyways, characters like Mr. Blobby weren't necessarily appreciated at the time, but nowadays are considered comedy gold. And watching some of these clips, yeah, they're pretty funny. But in the 90s, this shit was annoying for a lot of people, and scary for others. Many kids were so scared by Mr. Blobby that their parents ended up writing into the BBC. Bob Mortimer ended up calling him a, quote, pink, sporty, rubbery twat. Take that the fuck back. Regardless, for those who did get past this criticism, Blobby was legendary, a beloved part of British television and British culture alike. And a little bit of a phenomenon. There was a video game, a theme park, an album. This guy would not go away. The controversy did not hold his big pink puffy ass down. It empowered him. He becomes more powerful the more you hate him, and he thrives on it. Germany, the land where they call light bulbs glow pears and they have a dessert that's spaghetti made of ice cream. That's not for dessert, Germans. The Italians said that's for dinner. Oh, you fools. This wasn't a Halloween video. It was an Oktoberfest video in disguise. Berndt das Brot was a German puppet of a living loaf of bread, created for a comedy series of the same name. For children! Berndt's whole shtick was that he became self-aware. He knew he was in a television show, and he wanted out. He spirals into a depression and basically tries to force his way out of the television show, which never works. This show would always portray Berndt as undergoing the most difficult internal crisis, while young children would laugh at his misfortune. Now, Berndt himself isn't that creepy. I love his design, actually. He portrays himself exactly the way the showrunners wanted him to, and the effect works. No. The creepy part is the implication that this man wants to kill himself, and there are children just laughing at him for that. This is basically like a space alien watching that one Twilight Zone episode and just being like, "You humans are hilarious," and then taking a big hit of a blunt filled with sauerkraut or something. I don't know, I'm not from Germany. You wanna know something even more fucked up? Berndt got what he wanted one day. Yeah, there was a famous kidnapping of 2009. A large statue of Berndt had been stolen from Erfurt and was missing for over 2 weeks, before being found by complete chance. This man is not only trapped in the television show, if this man escapes, the feds are fucking sicked on him. This poor bastard's a fucking Keter class. Okay, I debated including this one because it's pretty recent, pretty well known, and, well, for me, it's more so nostalgic than creepy. But for most people watching this video, when you think of creepy puppet shows, you think of from the creators of Nanoland. No, I'm not making that shit up. This is Mr. Meaty, a Nickelodeon show that was considered too gross for their audiences, moved to their side channel, Nicktoons, aired there for about 2 years, and then had a brief stint on Adult Swim, completely unchanged, still in its form that it aired on Nickelodeon in. What is that a testament to? I don't know. But man, I fucking love this show. Mr. Meaty is something of a stoner comedy. It follows 2 minimum wage employees at the titular restaurant, Mr. Meaty. Episodes typically revolved around them flirting with these ugly puppets of women, creating man-made horrors beyond comprehension, or just body horror. Straight up body horror. There's literally an episode where Josh and Parker are flirting with this big titty goth GF, and Parker accidentally sticks his finger in the fryer, and then he eats his finger. In another episode, Parker is described as the mooch master. He eats raw meat, and then develops an uncontrollable desire to eat everything in sight. By the end of the episode, Josh determines that Parker had eaten a tapeworm, and the tapeworm wrangler comes by and eats it. Okay, this might be gross to some of you. This was the funniest shit to me as a kid. This episode is infamous for scaring a lot of children, and making me laugh like a fucking idiot. Am I just stupid? Do I not get it? Mr. Meaty was basically Drake and Josh if it was produced in hell. And I love it. I can't get enough of this shit. It is genuinely one of the funniest shows that ever aired on Nicktoons, and you people shit on it. You people disgrace it. You don't understand the legacy of Mr. Meaty. And that was a fun, no-order run through some random creepy puppets from throughout the history of television and film. Do I think they're all scary? Not really. They're mostly just interesting to research for me. Moreover, I think they're all just testaments to the artistry of this medium and a means for creators to flex their non-standard ideas. And beyond that, there are tons of puppets I just didn't have time to talk about. Maybe another day I'll do a sequel to this video. But for now, happy Halloween!